Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Digibro, with my brother MZShaidu.
That's the M and the Z.
And we're gonna give a behind-the-scenes look at our new EP, Above the Earth Haunted, because at least one or two people asked for it, and that's all the encouragement that I need. We did this for Bedroom Bedrock. It was weirdly controversial video, because I titled it Behind the Scenes and Lyrical Analysis, and apparently a lot of people thought it was like pretentious to do an analysis of your own work.
Yeah.
But it's really just an explanation. I guess I could have just put explanation. I just thought it would be funny to call it analysis because that's what I do. But for some reason, people took that as like a weird slight or something. I don't know. I'm not going to call it analysis this time because obviously that's a whole can of worms. But we're going to dissect these 4 tracks. It shouldn't take nearly as long as it did with the last album. This is a much shorter production cycle and simpler because there's only 4 songs. And you're probably going to have to do more of the talking this time because there's a lot of interesting experimentation in the beats. Can you hand me that drink over there? The white cup.
Alright. Okay.
So the first track for this, I want to say these songs are almost in the order they were produced. I think Seethe came after Shallow, but
Yeah.
the first one, Almost Nothing, you made that beat like very shortly after Bedroom Bedrock came out, right?
Yes.
So tell us, what's the deal with that beat?
Almost Nothing was... It was pretty much like... Somehow I found those samples of that girl saying that stuff from... I just looked up show tunes on YouTube, and it shows like one of the first results. And like... It kind of like... It struck a chord with me, because I was like really sad, and I was like my girlfriend was asleep, and I just kind of got up and I sat on my computer, and I was like, I gotta make like a sad beat. And then the drums are just like a drum sample, right? Some like drum loop website. But I felt like it encapsulated my feelings on where I was at the moment, because like I felt like I was almost nothing but not nothing, because I made that whole album, and then I got the job at Domino's. Like, I think I just got the job at Domino's, something like that.
For those who don't know, Shade works at Domino's. You're a manager now, right?
Yeah, I'm assistant manager.
Assistant manager at Domino's. And
But I should be in a regular manager soon.
So, yeah, Shade felt sad, put together this beat. What inspired you to use you used pretty extensive samples. It's mostly a clip, which if you listen to the song enough times, you'll piece together what is happening in the clip, because it's actually a comedy scene, right?
Yeah.
Like, the idea is that the girl is talking to her friend on the phone about how, like, all her life she felt like she was nothing, but now she's alive, fulfilled. But she gets cut off by her mom, who's like, I have to call Grandma. And she's like, any second, Ma. Ursula, where was I? And she says, you were nothing. And she's like, right. And now I'm alive, fulfilled. But the way you structured it is, like, accusatory. Like, you were nothing. You were nothing. You were nothing,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, it's a reworking of a comedic scene, which is... I really like that aspect of it, because all of this album, and really most of our music, particularly my lyrics, is, like, self-flagellating. Most of it's like self-hating lyrics, but in a funny way, and in sort of a sarcastic way. So this song, on the one hand, it's very dreamy and ethereal and sad, but at the same time, it's got this like comedic overtone of this kind of goofy sample that's from a comedy scene. There's a part where it's suddenly, this is Harvey Gonza.
Yeah, Harvey Johnson. Because like at some random part in the actual song from the samples from, like, this dude calls up and he's like, this is Harvey Johnson, I've got a telegram for somebody, and like I just thought it was so weird that he just chimes in like that, and I was looking for another piece of the song to use, but it didn't work out, so I just ended up leaving it as this is Harvey Johnson and repeated it.
It's hilarious, and I love it. It's definitely the first time I heard the song, and some people have said this too, that it's very jarring the first time. But once you know it's coming, there's a song that, for both of our parts, the song is better on re-listens. And when we released the music video, and when we released it originally on SoundCloud, a lot of people complained about my vocals being too low in the mix, which is completely intentional. and makes way more sense if you listen to the song a few times and you get used to it, because people just aren't used to it. People aren't used to hearing weird experimental rap music. You know, if you've ever listened to artists like Cloud Dead or Dialect, then you probably have heard more stuff like this, of, you know, vocals being deliberately low in the mix. Dialect's a big influence on me. So yeah, it's completely intentional. And so is there anything else you want to say about how the beat was crafted? There's a cool beat change up at the end.
Yeah, that was like, I wanted there to be a breakdown. It's as simple as that. But like the horns, I still to this day wish that I had a better horn sample, because it just sounds goofy.
I like it. I really like the horse though. Well, I like how you have a tendency to have these beats that are really dark and moody and deep, but then they have these like high-pitched, goofy video game sounds over them. A lot of which, not so much in this song's case, but there's a lot of like Phantasy Star Online influence in your songs, I feel like.
Probably.
Like a lot of it, particularly when we get to Deadline.
Yeah.
But anyways, so with Almost Nothing, you put this beat out, and I listened to it, and I immediately wanted to write something on it. But this song starts off with a trend now of songs that are longer, because on Bedroom Bedrock, practically every song is 2 minutes long. They're all either like exactly 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, with the exception of Get Action, which is a beat that I, you know, had Shade craft specifically for the length of the song. And you had to do, like, it took forever to make that song, because Shade was not enthusiastic about making longer tracks. Everything was 2 minutes, because it's about how long it took to explore a musical idea. This song was a full 3.5 minutes with Almost Nothing. And for me, I really liked that Shade's beats are 2 minutes long, because that's how long it takes me to have a whole idea. Like what people don't realize is a 3-minute rap, that's a lot of fucking rap. Like, you know, because in rap you're talking relatively fast. You rattle off through points pretty quickly. I have always been someone who likes to write concisely. You know, when I listen to a lot of rap music, I feel like so much of the lyrics are padding. So much of it is like, you know, in order to get all the bars for a 3-minute song, they just keep throwing in like some brag lines or some whatever about like my life that doesn't really have to do with the thesis of the song. And I try to stick to one thesis and just like get an idea out, and that's it. And I can usually do that quickly. And it's hard for me to fill out 3.5 minutes of a song. So with Almost Nothing, I just thought, well, there's lots of samples in here. I'll just let all the samples breathe. I won't rap over any of the samples, and I'll just rap in these little horn sections. But I also really liked the horn sections, and I didn't want to overpower them. And you know, this, it relates well to the theme of the song, I think. That, like, the reason that the vocals are so quiet in the mix is that I thought it was presumptuous of me that I always mixed my vocals so high. And on Bedroom Bedrock, trying to get vocal mixing right was a total struggle. It was really hard to figure it out, and every song sounds totally different, and most of them sound bad in the vocal mixing department. Because I do all the vocal mixing on our songs. Shade just posts beats, I put the vocals on them, and then I fuck with the vocals. And for like the early tracks that we did, it was all multi-layered. We're like, if you just record like your voice over the rap, or if I do that, if I record my voice over the rap, it sounds too thin and too flimsy, and you can't hear it well enough. Now, if you compress it, what that does, like compressing audio, basically brings all the highs down and all the lows up, and makes it sound more full, like it sounds more complete, but it also loses some of the warmth and nuance. And usually the very first word gets quiet for some reason, so it sounds like it's coming, like it's like the song is kind of starting up or something. It's weird, and I really hated that sound. I hated just using compression, and I was trying to avoid it. But because I wasn't doing it, then I couldn't make my vocals loud enough by themselves, so I would just multi-track them, and I did tons of extensive multi-tracking, and then would turn the vocals way up. And it doesn't help that I would listen to the songs really loud while I was performing them. Like, you know, I'd crank up the volume in my headphones and like, you know, shout the lyrics. And so by the time I'm editing the vocals, I've heard the beat 1,000 times very loudly and my ears are broken. So I need the vocals to be very loud for them to sound right to me. So, like, you know, the vocals on Rotten are really loud, but they sound okay because that beat has a lot of space in it. But, like, Humans Are Okay, I had to make the vocals extremely loud. Final Stretch is ridiculously loud because there's just so much in the mix of the song that there's no real space for vocals. You know, so, yeah, it was a struggle all through that album. So with Almost Nothing, I finally embraced just using compression and not multi-tracking, and then I could much more easily manipulate the volume of the rap, because, like, if it's not compressed, then the moments that peak, the moments where the rapping is louder, like if I try to turn up the whole track, like let's say there's some words that are this loud and some words that are this loud, and so if I try to make it loud enough to hear the quieter words, then the louder words get way too loud. So compression makes it so they're all about the same volume, and it's much easier to manage the volume of that track. So yeah, with the compression, I was able to turn the vocals way down in the mix and have them still be audible and listenable. And I was upset with the fact that, like, with so much of Bedroom Bedrock, I really love your beats, and I feel like I am just forcing my raps over them. Like, I'm just overpowering the original sound. And so I wanted to just let those horns breathe. Like, I don't think my rapping is more important than the horns on the track. I wanted them both to kind of be equal, and to, like, you could focus on whichever one you want. So, yeah, that's why those parts are mixed so low. And I wrote those first two verses way before I wrote the final section. Like, as soon as the beat came out, I wrote the first two verses, which go, I reside between blurred lines, undefined. What's a sign and what's in my mind? Buried in wives and casks of wine, loving the lie in which everything's fine. A nihilistic nightmare I've crafted, clinging to my self-satisfaction, but not doing anything outside my passions. My soul's drifting out of my gaping mouth, breakneck power walking what I think's my route. Which are all pretty direct lyrics, and that's another part of the reason I wanted them low in the mix, is because I thought that the lyrics were not that good and kind of corny. I was very harsh on these because I look up to rappers who do a lot more wordplay and have more interesting, like, interplay of stuff going on, and like Endless Jest, for instance. And so when I write these very straightforward lyrics with, like, simple rhyme schemes, then I always feel like, this isn't even that good. Why would I overpower this great beat with these retarded lyrics, you know? So that's why they're so low in the mix. But it also suits the lyrics because the line is, I reside between blurred lines, undefined. So the idea that the vocals are mixed in there somewhere, you know, in between the blurry lines of this ethereal track, makes sense to me. And then the buried in wives and casks of wine refers to, like, having all the waifu pillows on my bed and just being buried in them, you know. Obviously a cask of wine is box wine.
Yeah, dude.
Loving the lie in which everything's fine, which is the nihilistic nightmare I've crafted, because, like, my overall worldview is nihilistic. I don't believe in anything. I feel like nothing really matters, and I feel like that's a weird. It's a nightmare that's also meant to help me, because it's like, by not caring about anything or believing in anything, it allows me to just, like, you know, be myself and just be concerned about my own shit. But my own shit is just sitting around, you know, as a specter in my room not doing anything. So it's like this duality of the idea that, like, this is paradise, but paradise is terrible. And that's kind of what I'm trying to communicate here, is this, the nihilistic nightmare I've crafted, clinging to my self-satisfaction, but not doing anything outside of my passions, which is to, just rap and make anime videos and stuff. My soul's drifting out of my gaping mouth, breakneck power walking what I think's my route, which is, you know, I'm just going ahead with full force on what I think is the route to success, what I hope is the route to success. So that's what that's about. And then the second verse. Dad used to joke I'd replaced my heart with the second brain. I think that other one may not have been sane. Real thing my dad used to always say. And I liked that when I was younger. Like when I was like 14 or so, I guess because I just didn't seem to show a lot of sympathy for people, and I was always very rational and logical. My dad would always joke like that I had two brains instead of a heart. And I would always be like, yeah, exactly, and which is just not at all the case, really. But yeah, so the joke is that the other brain was the insane one, the one that's driven me to this path of madness. I've been strange so long that the range of emotions I express are from suck my dick to fuck my ass, which is a hilarious line. But yeah, like I've spent so long living this way that I don't really know how to be a normal person anymore. You know, I don't remember what it was like.
I can't relate to you humans.
Yeah, which is now the first line on, or one of the first lines on Gay and Dead, our upcoming album that everyone should look forward to. But yeah, it's like I don't know how to just be a person anymore. I only know how to be this strange creature. You know, and the range of emotions I express are just suck my dick to fuck my ass, which is like either, I guess that would mean, you know, suck my dick would mean like praise me, or fuck my ass would be fucking me over, I guess. It's just a funny way to put those two phrases together. Belligerence and obstinance, intolerance and abstinence. These are just like 4 things that I'm accusing myself of. My last defense, Your Honor, is at least I can feel happiness. But only insofar as I'm not pissed about the surrounding apocalypse. So in other words, like, I am capable of feeling happy, but only because I am not concerned about the world around me, which a lot of the lyrics on this album are also in reference to this whole world-ending 2016's the worst year ever, Donald Trump election, Brexit nightmare that we're living in, you know. You know, like the fact that everyone else is so like this, like obsessed with this idea that everything's going wrong, and I'm just sitting here having a good time. You know, like the only like the cost of feeling okay is not caring about the world around me. This is Harvey Johnson.
This is Harvey Johnson. This is Harvey Johnson.
So then we get to the breakdown, and it's, in a world where the only thing you have to cling to is the authority of a greater being who can see things you can't see and define your morality, making life easier than it would be if you had nothing but a black void coming when you're dead. Get your head on straight, because if you can't relate, then your fate is looking like a crazy fuck. Which is just basically saying that most people, in order to have morality, they just believe in a higher being who can define morality for them, or some kind of higher cause, that there is a meaning in the universe, and by, you know, following what you believe is to be right, then you have purpose. But if you don't believe in that, and you believe that there's nothing but a black void coming when you're dead, then you better be careful, because everyone's going to think you're crazy, and no one's going to, like, listen to you. You're going to look like a crazy fuck. When you don't believe in luck and karma, other motherfuckers want to harm your logic. They don't like it when you're honest, when you're a challenge to what gives them balance. Pretty direct. Fall back on your talents. Tip those scales in your favor. Become your own savior, as long as you can savor your time without losing your mind and blowing it out. So basically what I'm saying is, you know, if you're in this nihilistic mindset where you can't believe that there's any higher purpose or morality in the world, then you really need to focus on your talents and what gives you strength, and try to be yourself, and try to tip the scales in your favor, you know, but only if you can do this without losing your mind, because this is what I think happens to a lot of artists and nihilists in general, is like when you don't believe in anything and you're just struggling to you know, be your own source of power, then if you're not strong enough to do that, it's gonna make you lose your mind and blow your brains out. For going that route, though I doubt it matters. If you'd rather be nothing, how could I stop you? I'm not you. I'm alive, fulfilled, spilled out onto found tracks instead of on the ground. I'm something somehow, and I have doubts about how I got here, having been profound. So basically I'm saying, you know, like my advice is to follow this route and try not to kill yourself. But if you can't do it, if you'd rather die, I can't stop you. Like, I can't pretend that I have the answers, because I have gotten lucky enough to be found. The found tracks means I've made songs that people have listened to. I somehow became something. I have no idea how I got here. It's not profound, but I am here, so I can't necessarily tell you, how to live your life. So yeah, that's Almost Nothing. And it was after that track, I want to say I wrote the second half, because I wrote those first two verses like a whole month before I wrote the rest, I think. And like a long time had passed. Bedroom Bedrock had come, was out there in the world, and then there was, I guess I was working on other projects, and then you hadn't put out a beat for a while, but then you put out the one for Shallow, and I think it was when that beat came out that I wrote the rest of Almost Nothing so I could move on to the next track or something like that. And so it was around that time when I finished the Almost Nothing song that I came up with the title Above the Earth Haunted, which, I've made reference to what it means a bunch in the liner notes of the album and stuff, but and I kind of had the idea for this immediately after Bedroom Bedrock, because the last song on Bedroom Bedrock is Final Stretch, where I say we're out of the bedroom, up from the bedrock. We've made it. We've accomplished something here. We started this off thinking we could do nothing. We were starting from the bottom, and now we're here, and we've made it. And I sing about how, what I spit now pulls as much in a month as what I was worth in Rotten, because Rotten was the first song written other than Waves at Dawn. So, by that time, I'd made a whole lot of progress. And so we've jettisoned up through the stratosphere, and now we're above the earth, only to realize that what's up there is a black void of nothingness, and that nothing has meaning, and there is no great prize waiting on the other side of the horizon. It's sort of the idea. So you're above the earth, but haunted by the reality of what's up there. I think the title was subconsciously inspired by Nine Inch Nails' album Hesitation Marks. Because track 2 of that album is Haunted.
Yeah.
And I came back haunted. And every time I think of the title of my album, I think of that song. And then also that album has the song Satellite, which a satellite is above the earth. So to me, the title is kind of a combination of those two tracks conceptually. But yeah, it's Above the Earth Haunted. The original image that's on SoundCloud that I had made is this really god-awful, I took a photo of the Earth, from space, and then I just did a bunch of shit to it in Photoshop, but it looks really garish and terrible, and I put, shitty text on it. And then Shade was like, this looks bad, I'm gonna make my own version.
Yeah.
And then eventually you did, and yours is also garish and terrible. Just in a different way.
I thought mine was a more interesting garish terrible.
It's more interesting, for sure. That's why I used it. But I had to really stare at it to parse what it was. Why was the original version so tiny? The original one he sent me was like 250 pixels by 300. It wasn't even a square.
Because the picture of the mountains that I picked up was super tiny, and I remembered the album art thing on Bandcamp being really small, but I couldn't remember how small.
No, the album art on Bandcamp has to be a minimum of 1400 by 1400 pixels.
Oh.
So not only, even the final version you sent me, I still had to upscale in order to use it on Bandcamp. So yeah, it was it's a really small image that's been blown up, and it looks hilarious.
Yeah, it's mountains with a kaleidoscope photoshopped into the background, and then I just kept on adding a bunch of blue and purple to it.
That's what I basically did to make my shitty one, but I went further with it, I think. So alright, the next beat you did was Shallow. Tell us about that one.
I need a second to remember Shallow. I know it has that once it has the Demon Souls sample again, but it's not the same one. I'm pretty sure it's actually the one from the opening cinematic where they're singing there. and it's like reversed or something like that.
It plays during the like crazy breakdown part. The demons, the Demon Souls sample, which was used in Bedroom Bedrock, the first track on the album, the original album, is used extensively in. It's just become like a keyboard for Shade, I guess.
I love it.
It's really so good. But yeah, Shallow is a what else?
The only other sample there is actually Link's Hookshot.
Really?
Yeah.
Where does that play?
Like every other bar.
which noise?
It's like part of the hi-hats. It's like this. It's like hard to. It's like a chain sound.
I think I know which sound you're talking about. Wow, I never would have imagined Link's fucking hookshot was in there. What overall were you going for with that beat? Because it's really weird.
I think I was, once again trying to make a Frank Jeff C beat, but then I also I was just thinking water, man, and then I just freaking made a beat.
There's a tendency with some of your songs that a number of people have pointed out that you don't understand music theory. So your songs are kind of just like a mishmash of cool sounds, and they're always very off-putting at first, but then that's what I like. Like, as a rapper, I want to rap over weird off-putting sounds and to add more weird off-putting sounds to it. And so, Shallow is one of a few songs that I feel like kind of came together once I rapped on it, and it made sense to me then. Where when I first heard it, I was just like, this is fucking chaos. And I got the impression that you titled it Shallow because you thought of it as just shallow experimentation.
I think it was because I felt shallow at the time.
Oh, yeah. The cover art that you had on your upload of the song, which is great, of the beat, is
it's Fiji and soju.
Yeah.
And water.
A bottle of Fiji and a bottle of soju over water, which soju is a Korean, sake, essentially. So yeah, it was this weird beat. I really thought of it as shallow experimentation. That it was just you fucking around.
I was pretty much doing that.
And so, every single one on this EP, my lyrics came directly from not just the sound of your tracks, but whatever you titled them. Almost Nothing was called Almost Nothing, so I rapped about being almost nothing. This beat was called Shallow, so I rapped about being shallow. And, again, this is another song where it was 3.5 minutes long, so I was, really struggling to come up with enough lyrics for the whole track. And so I thought, well, what could be more shallow than an obnoxious, repetitive chorus that goes through the entire fucking song? So I came up with, I'm only ankles deep, I can't impress me, I only see beauty in terms of what is sexy, I'm not a good guy, I don't like anyone, and if someone says, hun, I wanna fuck, I'm all but done, which is the true story of my actual life. I don't like anybody, but if you were like, hey, I like you, let's fuck, I'd be like, done, you know. So yeah, it's just about me being a shallow prick, essentially, and then has some of my... I loved the verses for this so much, and it was... The thing is that the delivery of them had to be in that rough DMX voice. Like, got about a charm myself, I'm about as warm as a corporate email. But the problem with delivering that way is that there's a lot of, quiet and loud. There's some words come out really hard to hear and other words are really loud. And even after compression, it sounded wrong. Because this was originally released as just a demo on SoundCloud. And the reason I called it a demo is because I didn't want to post stuff with the same shitty vocal mixing as Bedroom Bedrock. The amount that I had done to it in the demo version would have been a completed track on Bedroom Bedrock. And I never would have been satisfied with it. Every time I heard it, it would have driven me crazy. So I called it a demo so that I would eventually come back to it and fix it up. So, yeah, the verses are... I've got about as much charm as self-harm, which I think is fucking hilarious of a line. Do you get it? I'm as charming as hurting yourself.
Yeah.
I'm about as warm as a corporate email.
Oh God.
Got no female friends, and I think it's probably...
So it's like the Grinch song.
Yeah, it is like the Grinch song. That is exactly what I was going for. Got about as much charm as self-harm. I'm about as warm as a corporate email. Got no female friends, and I think that's probably my fault. Rough like asphalt. Tough with words and curses. Curt to a fault, and I skirt the issues. So, like, what I mean, I'm saying that I just swear too much. I'm rough. I don't watch my words at all. And I skirt the issues as in, like, I just pretend I don't, like, care about what anyone's talking about, or like whenever there's a problem I have with somebody, I just pretend it's not there. I just skirt by the issues. Satisfied to squirt through tissues, meaning that, because I don't have any female friends, I just jacking up. And I talk about my dick like it's everybody's business. Come pay witness. Physical fitness is I lift a bit, but I don't do shit besides. My ride is nice, but I'm only out at night to procure burgers and fries. And I eat like a garbage chute. I'm far from cute. Can't be much of a brute, because I'm not strong enough. But my sleazy needs got me up all night. Nothing but RedTube, which is obviously a porn site. I don't actually use RedTube, but it fit the rhyme scheme. So yeah,
they're all pretty direct lyrics.
Yeah, they're all very direct. It's a shallow song. It's supposed to be a shallow song about being shallow. It's very funny, and it's more about like the comedic feel of the lyrics. And this mix, the whole song is this mixture of dark and goofy, which is how I felt about the beat. That it is a dark, moody beat, but it's got these bloom boom blim bloom bloom blim bloom like sounds in it. Yeah, and then like it just goes into like this breakbeat section, and has all this other like weird experimentation in it. And so for like again, I didn't have enough ideas to write enough lyrics to fit the whole song. So I thought, what if I just have the chorus keep repeating, but I just start fucking with it, and every time the song changes, I'll fuck with the chorus too. So in the original demo, I just used, because I did all my fucking vocal editing in Audacity up through, this song. And so, I just kind of muted the song. Like, there's a wah-wah effect on the part where it gets really quiet. I think that's all I did to it, is put a wah-wah on it. So it's gliding back and forth between the two speakers, but it's all compressed and weird sounding. And then initially I had just put some like echo effects on the second part where like the breakbeat happens. So if you listen to the demo, it doesn't have the crazy vocal glitching and stuff like that. Then we get to the second verse. Never gonna feel attractive, never gonna be too active. Only got a few more years till I'm over that hill and expectations go backwards. Because eventually, I'm 25 years old. I'm already kind of past my prime. Like I'm already past the early young and hip days of being a healthy man. It's like, yeah, I'm already heading towards 30. 30's over the hill, and that's when everyone's expectations of you go backwards. I'm a lazy bastard, smoking up a storm of tobacco like a little rascal, which was just a rhyme, but I think that they actually did smoke in the Little Rascals, or one of them might have. You ever heard of the Little Rascals? It's like an old 50s show or movie or something.
I don't know, man. I
know Mom's a fan, or was a fan of him.
I'm like 12 or something.
Like a little rascal, living in the big fiasco, trying not to be so hassled, maybe less a total asshole. So like I live in the big fiasco is the world, I guess, the internet, whatever. It just sounds cool. Trying not to be so hassled, and also act like less of an asshole. But I don't see myself from the outside, and I don't trust what I do not see. If a ball of sleaze with some real bad teeth isn't what you all perceive, then I'm glad for that, but I'm still fat, and I still don't like dogs or cats, and I'm still a self-important fuck with an act for embracing that. So what I'm basically saying here is that I realize that other people don't see me as negatively as I see myself. That, like, I'm ragging on myself, I'm saying that I'm gross and sleazy, but I realize that other people don't feel that way. I just don't see myself from the outside, and I don't trust what I don't see. So when people tell me that they like, oh, I think you're cute, or I think you're a nice guy, I don't trust them, because I don't see myself that way. I see myself for all these negative qualities, and no matter what you say, you can't change the fact that I'm fat and I don't like dogs or cats, which is just, makes me a shit person in general, because everyone likes dogs or cats, and I'm still a self-important fuck who embraces the fact that I'm a self-important fuck. And then the chorus repeats again. So then, with this song, so the first 3 tracks on this were all made over a month ago, like maybe even 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It was Almost Nothing, then Shallow, then Seethe. But I wanted to redo Shallow. I wasn't sure if that was going to make it onto the album. Like, for a long time, I was listening to it and I was just like, this song's not that strong. Fuck it, and I wasn't even going to put it on. Seethe, I wanted to redo again. There's an extended version of the song that may or may not come into existence one day that Nino wanted to rap on. So we'll see if that ever happens, but I didn't feel like waiting around for him before releasing this one. Oh god, the clip is... What's happening? Let me restart the clip. Okay. So yeah, I figured I just released that version as it is that's on the album. And but then when basically what set everything in motion to finish this EP was that you made the beat just called Dark Beat, which became Broken Brilliance, the first song for Gay and Dead. And like that beat came out, I immediately rapped over it and released it, but I wanted it to be a part of the Gay and Dead album. And so I really thought, all right, it's time for fucking Above the Earth Haunted to come out, you know? And you'd already made the Beautiful remix, which is a remix of a Frank Jeff C song, So Damn Beautiful. And I thought I might rap on that too. So then I thought, all right, I'll rap on that, I'll fix Shallow, and we'll release this as a 4-track EP. Because I always wanted this to be an EP. I figured it wouldn't be another album. So I went and took Shallow into Fruity Loops, FL Studio, because I now have that and can use it, and just kind of fucked around with putting stuff on the vocals. I'm pretty sure that what I did for both tracks, like there's the one track of just the chorus, and then there's the other track of the 2 verses, and each one has a different pedal effect on it. Or like I went into what's it called? There's one preset in FL Studio that's like a bunch of different effects pedals. It's like meant for guitars.
Effector?
I don't know. It's like 1,000 fucking effect pedals. And I just went through each and every one until I found ones that I liked for those choruses. So yeah, it's 2 different effect pedals that are meant for guitars that I put on my voice. I know one of them was called Arabian something, or like True Sultan. That was the one I put on the verses. I don't remember the name of the other one. But yeah, so I put those on there, and then for the vocal chopping that happens in the later part of the experimental part of the song, that is a Fruity Loop preset called Gross Beat that I'm very, very fond of. Have you used it?
No.
Gross Beat basically just allows you to put like a vocal chopping, like it'll have like a wave pattern, and you just put that pattern on there and it chops the beat in that pattern. It's really meant for beats, but I've been using it on vocals, and I had experimented with it on some Frank Jeff C remixes that are on SoundCloud. And yeah, so I just fucked around with it in Gross Beat and created these vocal chops. So that's all that is. It's just Gross Beat layered onto these songs, but with different arrangements of how it fucks up the track. Not totally satisfied with how the chopping sounds on the later part because it's so chaotic. And I think the reason it's so chaotic is because I didn't actually match the project BPM to the song's BPM. So it's not quite synced up to the beat when it's chopping up the vocals. It makes it just total chaos. Really technical shit. I don't know if our audience would understand, but that's why it's like that. But yeah, that's all I did to it. So then Shallow was done, and I was satisfied enough with it, and now I really like it. I think that adding those effects completely changed the feel of the song from like sounding just kind of dry and like a shallow experiment to sounding like a full song. So then next is Seethe. Tell us about how you made that beat, the seed beat.
Okay, so that one, actually, I had started, like, a long time ago before even Get Action was made.
Really?
Yeah. Because, you were in my room, and you were asking me why I hadn't finished Get Action.
Uh-huh.
And, like, I was just like, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling inspired. And then I was just like, I just opened up FL Studio and I made like a random little drum beat. And then I made the da 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 da.
Which sounds fucking awesome.
And you're like, I like this. And then I was like, hold on 1 second. And then I replaced the keyboard that I already had on it with the Demon Souls voice. And I was like, alright, this is cool.
So if anyone didn't realize that that's the exact same Demon Souls vocal sample, it is. That you can tell at the end when it trails off.
Yeah.
Because it trails off the exact same way at the end of Bedroom Bedrock.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same Demon Souls sample, and it sounds so fucking good mixed that way. Like, to me, when I heard that song, I immediately thought, like, this is, 2 a.m. Adult Swim music. Or I was picturing, like, a night drive through Tokyo or something when I heard that. It's just such a perfect nighttime, sleazy, dark track. And, you posted the beat, and it was called Seed. Was there anything in particular you were going for with it, or just why Seed?
I also should mention the drums, like, I specifically wanted the drums to be different on, like, every bar. Or have, like, a pattern for the 4 bars. But, like, it changed, like, a bunch. But, yeah, Seed is just because I thought it sounded really evil, and Seed is actually the enemies from Phantasy Star Universe.
I see.
Yeah.
So there is a direct Phantasy Star Online influence here. Yeah, so I heard the song, I immediately loved it. It was only like a minute and a half long, and I was like, this is the most perfect beat ever constructed in history. And because it was called Seed, I thought, Seethe sounds similar, and the beat was so, like, dark and dank, and I was like, I'm gonna write it about just being someone who seethes with anger.
Yeah.
This is some of my, like, hardest, most, like, misanthropic lyrics ever. Like, because there's no sense of humor in this song. Like, every other track, like, Shallow is making fun of myself, but it's funny. Or there's other songs that are like, the new track, Broken Brilliance, is like, I don't relate to you humans. It's kind of goofy. This song goes, I'd be hard-pressed to name 2 guys that I like unqualified, or any that I find to be good. So that's immediately putting literally everyone on blast. There are literally, I cannot name 2 guys that I like without qualification. Like, that I actually, have no problems with as a human being. And there's no one I find to be good, like, morally good. I think everyone's fucking up in their own way. I hate to be misunderstood and only half blame myself because I go way the fuck past halfway just to meet your shelf.
Second time you've used that.
Yeah. Meeting your shelf, which I also referred to in Actualize, which is just the idea of the phrase meeting your shelf to me means I'm trying to be someone you pay money to hear. Like meeting your shelf means buying my album. That's basically what it means, is you deciding that you like me enough to pay for my shit and put it on the shelf. And I'm saying that, like, I don't like to be misunderstood. However, I'm overexerting myself to be understood by you, and you're not putting in as much work as I am. Is essentially because you know the phrase "meet me halfway," yeah. And I'm saying I'm going way past halfway to get onto your shelf. I'm explaining way more about myself than you are trying to interpret out of me. So I'm going past halfway just to meet your shelf, and that's why I only half blame myself for not being understood. If there are answers that you do not want, then do not ask. Which just means, like, don't come asking me questions if there are potentially things you don't want to hear from me, because it might be what you hear. I'm not going to sugarcoat what I'm saying. I'll kick your ass and hit my flask when the moment's past. Meaning I'll kick your ass and then I'll just go drink because I don't care. I only get up past noon so I don't have to look at you. I am through with the notion that I am cool. Which is like, yeah, part of the reason, really a lot of the reason why I try to be up at night and not during the day, so I don't run into people. Because people are just a distraction who keeps me from my work, and I don't want to be around anybody, so I only get up at past noon so I don't have to look at you. And yeah, I'm through with the notion that I'm cool. I'm sick of trying to be a cool guy who everyone likes, I don't care. I just want to fucking do whatever. When I'm not mad at everybody, then I'm mad at me. Obviously, I'm the type to see, which I really enjoy as a chorus, just a repetitive one-line chorus. That fucking makes me so happy. So then we get to the second verse. They tell me everybody goddamn lost their minds, but they never had them. This never would have happened if rationale would have been rationed equally. This is again referring to the whole 2016's a clusterfuck Trump election thing.
Yeah.
Because everyone, they say everybody's lost their minds. And I'm like, no, everyone was already stupid. None of us are rational. None of us know the things we're supposed to know, the things that we should know. And if rationale had been rationed equally, then we'd all, we'd make different decisions. But it's not, Do not speak to me of justice. Don't recommend happiness unless you're blessed with the sense for providing it to me like a sadomasochist. Which is basically me saying, like, I'm sick of hearing people talk about, social justice or, this or that. Like, the way I see it, if I'm unhappy, if anyone's unhappy, then you too are the downtrodden. You are the unsatisfied. Everyone's unsatisfied. No one is just living, you can talk all you want about privilege, but privilege doesn't buy happiness. Nothing does. You're just either in the right mindset or you're not. Don't talk to me about justice. Don't recommend happiness unless you personally are going to try to provide me happiness. But I want more than you have, and a little bit more than I can handle. I want to be the fire in your mantle, the candle that lights your fantasy. But it's hard to be romantic when I'm pedantic as all can be. Which is all accurate to my life. And it's kind of how, really, my last relationship was kind of like that, where we both were very romantically minded people, but realists. And it's like I'm a pedantic fuck, I'm not I would love to imagine myself as a romantic warrior who's gonna who's gonna just love someone and sweep them off their feet, but I'm also a complacent asshole who's pedantic about everything, so it's not I can't really be romantic. And sometimes I just don't want you to look at me, which is, an odd thing coming from someone like me who's constantly out there on the internet and my face is everywhere. But sometimes I just want to be fucking alone. And when I'm not mad at everybody, then I'm mad at me. So there were two versions of this track. The original was more of a spoken word thing because I wanted to go for a Milo kind of sound where it's just me talk rapping over the song. But once I did it, I realized that the beat was more aggressive than I first realized. That beat, I thought, when I first heard it, I thought it was kind of chill and cool and a driving down the road beat. But then once I rapped kind of lazily over it, I realized that the beat sounds a lot more intense and it had to be more aggressive. So I re-recorded it with more of this high-pitched, angry kind of sound, which was good because the song itself has almost no high end. It's all low end, so high-pitched voice sounded pretty good over it. That one's just, all I did was run compression on it, and that's it. There's a backing vocal in the chorus that's a super reverbed backup vocal, but that's all that's really added. And that's that song. So the last one is Deadline, which was originally Beautiful. How did this come about?
Well, Frank JFC put out his thing asking people to remix Volume 2, his second album, and or at least songs from it, and then he would put them all into one big album, which I feel like is gonna be this huge thing. But yeah, I wanted to remix it, and so I did.
Yeah.
I don't think I used much else, any samples other than what was already in the So Damn Beautiful song.
How much of the actual beat is from So Damn Beautiful? Because I know the vocal sample. So it's really just the vocal.
It's just the vocal sample.
Yeah, because which is impressive to me because when I heard your remix, I thought that because this song sounds a lot fuller than any other beat you've made. Like there's much heavier bass, there's much more like going on, and so I assumed that was because you were remixing the actual track So Damn Beautiful, because Frank Jeff C is a very full sound. And then I gradually realized, no, you just sampled the vocals. That beat was totally original. It's just way better than most of your beats are, most of the electronic ones, anyways.
Yeah.
Was there anything like what was your ethos about this song? It's highly experimental.
Well, at first, I was trying to use different techniques that Frank Jeff C goes over in his videos, which, like, I had used for a couple things, but the main one was the like, melody thing that's, like, super high-pitched. It's from his Bubblegum Pop video, and it's like, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, that song was, like, I was making it. But then I had the idea in my head that I wanted it to be, like, over 3 minutes or else it wouldn't have been, like, worth it. I don't know why.
It's nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah, because I added that one part where it's just, like, her singing and, like, nothing added.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't do anything to it. I think I might have added reverb, but it already was pretty reverby.
And then it kicks into this kick-ass rap beat at the very end.
Yeah, that part was like, the way that she says lover, I was like, it sounds a lot like it's like one beat that I don't actually know the name of, but it goes like, la, in like a lot of the parts. And so I wanted to make something like that, and I just threw it out at the end. I was like, this could be a totally different beat, but I wanted it at the end of that.
There's also that part in the middle where you threw 80 sound effects on there, you said?
Yes. It was... I was like... I wanted to have, like, a part that was, like, kind of like a breakbeat, but I didn't want to use the breakbeat samples. I just wanted to use, like, the drum that I already had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I want this to sound, like, really chaotic. So I just took a whole bunch of different sound effects that FL Studios has, and I just put them all in, and I didn't mix any of them. So they're super loud.
The melody line of this song is particularly Phantasy Star Online sounding.
Yeah.
And it's cool. So, yeah, I heard that song, and I thought, man, the sounds of this are really cool, but again, it's like total fucking chaos. There's just stuff everywhere. It goes through all these different evolving parts, and I thought, there's no way I can find places to rap over this, until I realized that there's like, there's this one explosive chorus part that comes in 3 times throughout the song, and it kind of unifies it into like a sensible track. And there's like almost exactly the same amount of distance between it every time. Like it's always like 1 minute of song and then that explosive part.
Yeah.
And so so I think it ties it all together really well, especially once I put vocals over it, because it feels like there's all this experimentation happening, but it's all joined and makes sense at certain moments, And I think that makes it work. When I first heard it, I was just like, this is just a confusing fucking mess. But then once I realized where I could put the vocals, then it all kind of clicked for me. And now I love that song. Really unexpected. I did not, even after putting the vocals on it, I thought this is like the weakest song on the album, is what I had thought initially. And now it's like my favorite, because it just sounds so full, and the chord progression in the background, they're like, boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
That chord progression really carries it, because it plays through almost the whole song.
Right.
And grounds it, so that all the crazy experimental shit still makes sense. It reminds me, I was telling you this, it reminds me of the instrumentals from the first 2 Linkin Park albums, the Mr. Han instrumentals, which have a similar chord progression, backing just a bunch of crazy experimentation, and DJ shit. So, yeah, and I think partly because of that, me thinking of Linkin Park gave me the idea to, have these sort of nu metal growl vocals for the chorus. And when I was listening, the first thing I decided when I decided to rap over the song is this is going to be the last track, and this will be the end of Above the Earth Haunted. And so the first thing I thought was, here I am perched up above the earth. We'll address the idea that I am above the earth, and like this is the theme of the album. So from where I'm perched up above the earth, I see it burning brightly, about to burst. The fault lines begin to capsize, and I realize that this time, this is the deadline. Which is, again, just in reference to the idea that the world is fucked right now. That everyone thinks the world's getting destroyed, and I'm above it all, looking down going, yep, it sure is falling apart. I love the way the chorus sounds and ties in with everything. I did some shit to it in FL Studio. That's why the last, you've probably thought when you listen to this album, wow, Shallow and Deadline sound so much better than every other song they've ever made in terms of vocals. What's the deal with that? That's just what happens when you stop using Audacity and start using FL Studio to mix your vocals. But yeah, I really like the sound of Deadline. It's 2 vocal tracks of me just, from where I'm perched up above the earth, I see it burning brightly, about to burst. And I think I did a great... What makes those vocals work is the specific rhymes I used. That it's that sound, which sounds really good in growls, and the I sound, so it's burning brightly, about to burst. You know, just words that sound good in that voice. And Deadline. And then there's the vocal chopping again because the song gets totally chaotic, and I was like, what better place to put my heart on for vocal chopping than here? And it sounds really cool. So then the end of the song, there's the rap, and it's I built a tower on the shakiest ground. It's a round blue and brown ball wrapped in clouds. Oh god, it's gonna be hard for me to remember all the lyrics to this one because I wrote it just the other day. But the idea of that is that, like, you know, how we got above the up from the bedrock is by building a tower up to the clouds, is what I'm suggesting here. That I built this whole method of getting me up there, of rising up, was built on that earth that is crumbling, you know? And like, even though I'm so far up above the clouds and I've got this magnificent tower, the foundation below it is crumbling, you know, and that's really the issue, is that, like, no matter how far above the earth you can climb, if you're still attached to the earth, then you're fucked if the earth is fucked. And on the shakiest ground, round blue and black called, wrapped in clouds. Fuck, what's the next line? I don't remember. Let me look it up real quick. Shit. Going to my own bandcamp page to look up my own lyrics. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. And no matter how tall, how far from the bedrock I climb, I can only see it falling in time, which is pretty direct. Yeah. I try to occupy my mind, to scrape up every ounce of solace I can find, which is, again, pretty direct. I'm just trying to distract myself from what's going on, without going snowblind or burning out my eyes. Now, snowblind refers to being on coke, I think, or heroin.
I don't know.
There's a Black Sabbath song, I think, either Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne, called Snowblind, which was covered by System of a Down. You remember that? Lying snowblind in the sun, feeling happy, feeling fun, cocaine. Yeah. And snowblind is just being, like, you know, being super high. So I'm saying that I'm trying to I'm trying to occupy my mind and distract myself, but without resorting to hard drugs or just burning out my eyes to avert my gaze from all the cities ablaze. So, like, I'm trying not to completely ignore what's going on, but I'm also trying to distract myself and occupy my mind so I don't think too hard about it. And the haze of black smoke rising to my windows every day. So, like, even though I'm up here above the clouds, all the smoke of the world burning below me is rising up past my windows, and I can see that it's all happening. How long can I live this way before malaise rots my soul away, and I become a wraith, haunting this world so dead and so gay? Which, of course...
So dead.
Yes.
And so gay.
Refers to Gay and Dead, the upcoming album. Let me make sure I didn't miss it.
Gay and Dead.
So for those who don't know, why Gay and Dead? I proposed that album title in the Ape Escape playthrough on the Procrastinators channel, and I just kept making reference to it, and I memed myself into loving the title and needing that to be the name of the next album. And so, like, so obviously what I said about Above the Earth Haunted was that it was, you know, like a sequel to Bedroom Bedrock. We got up from the bedrock, out of the bedroom, and now we're above the earth haunted and, you know, looking down. So I want this to be, basically all of our releases have a continuing narrative. And so the end result of being above the earth haunted and trying to avoid all the hardship going on and trying to be yourself and just like deal with what's going on in your own mind. The end result of that is becoming a wraith who haunts the earth and is gay and dead. So by the end of this album, I am officially gay and dead, and that is what will be the case on the next album. What does that mean? You'll have to find out in the next explanation video when we do one for Gay and Dead. By then, maybe I'll figure out what it means.
You got the gay part down.
And the dead part. No! Alright, hope you enjoyed that.